We're live with another session of Mineral Coaches. Today I'm working once again with Swoo. The first time I'm having someone on for the second time. So usually I just ask about goals and stuff. I'm trying to get to know my student, but this time, since it's the second session, I guess we can change it up a little bit and just ask, how has it been since the last session? Did you feel like you were able to implement sort of the stuff we talked about? What was I don't actually remember what your SR was last time around. Now it's around 3,500. So give me a bit of a rundown. Is there anything new that's kind of popped up on your kind of radar in terms of what you want to improve on? What will we be watching today? Just give us a rundown of all of that.
Since the last time I've been, I think the biggest takeaway from the VOD review is just mindset. So like, for instance, now, previously in downtime, I would think about, what if my other healer had healed me? Maybe I could have yada, yada. But now I try to like focus more on like, where could I have, positioned to avoid that, etc. So I feel like from then to now, I mean, my SR has fluctuated a bit. It went to 3.6 down to 3.5 and back up. But I feel like I'm taking better positioning now. I'm warming up on aim hero more before playing. So my aim's still not great, but it's a little bit more consistent than it was last time. But I feel like I chose this VOD in particular because the first VOD was also on Dorado. So I thought this was, a close loss, and it would be cool to see a kind of a side-by-side comparison of it being on the same map.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Zen and Anna, that's what we're...
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything you felt in this VOD that you struggled with? Anything in particular I should focus on?
I definitely struggled more with Anna than I did with Zen.
Mm-hmm.
One of the interesting about this comp is that like half the time we're not running a standard 2-2-2.
Mm-hmm.
We're sort of fluctuating between a 3-2-1 technically in this game, or a 3-3,
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times I was just unsure of what to do or what my role was in a triple support scenario, especially running as Ana against their comp.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so something we can definitely focus on is, as you are changing compositions, how you can quickly identify how your role changes, because obviously that's a big thing. Like, you're going to play completely differently as a Zenyatta, for instance, when you're playing two flankers dive with a pharmacy compared to how you would play with three supports when you have a brick protecting you. There's different risks that you can take, and there's different ways you should position. So it's something we can potentially focus on. So we'll see if we can decipher that. Okay.
Awesome.
Let's go. Okay, so a very slow variation of 3 support, but yeah. So what do you think your role here is in general?
I kind of take care. The Widowmaker should be mainly sufficient, but if she does need healing, it's going to be my job.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I still need to help out Orion, maybe, and just try to break shield on the other team.
Yeah. So, like I said, mostly self-sufficient, but also usually the Mercy will be taking care of the Widow, because if you think about it, who because generally when everyone is healthy, you want to have a good target to damage boost, and generally with this type of a composition, it's almost always going to be the Widow. Like, that's the target to damage boost. So most of the time you won't really have to worry that much about the Widow. You're most likely going to worry about making sure that Mercy doesn't die, so keep paying attention that in case she gets pushed, you're ready to switch the orb to her. And a lot of the time, like you said, just making sure that Reinhardt doesn't need a lot of help. So the healthier he stays, the more you can keep your orb on him, the less Mercy has to leave Widow, the more of a chance you have to potentially find a kill. So yeah, you're basically kind of locked to playing with your front line. And yeah, very, very good. Like, as soon as a round starts, you look at the comp and you kind of just give yourself these little reminders. What should I do? Who do I need to take care of? If we're playing a Mercy, who is the Mercy gonna pocket, and who do I need to pocket? Because say you're playing Winston Diva, you know, Genji Tracer or something, and then Mercy's probably going to pocket the Genji a little bit more, help him push areas, whereas the Tracer is probably, you know, that's not an easy target for Mercy to heal without overextending yourself or putting yourself in danger. So usually a lot of times whenever you can, you're probably going to put it on the Tracer, because the Tracer can do so much more with the orb compared to without the orb, right? He can take 2v1s and create a lot of space. So very good to keep reminding yourself, look at the DPS that you have available and see who, like, immediately set priorities. Who am I going to keep the orb on the most whenever possible?
Right.
So something you can do when you're coming out of spawn is, you know, it's probably not going to pay off all the time, but it's going to pay off maybe 2 or 3% of the time, and that 2 or 3% of the time it's going to count for a lot. Is
shoot the right click.
Yeah, and usually what's going to happen is everyone knows this angle. You can see spam is already coming, so you can probably wait a second or two, wait till the spam zooms past, and you can start charging the right click just as the gate opens. So you wait this out, and then you take your peek and you shoot one back just in case.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So you don't want to peek out immediately because you don't want to get picked off. But with this timing, they're always going to fire this as the door opens. That's going to be their timing. And then while they're reloading or they're charging a new right click or a new Hanzo arrow or whatever it may be, you can peek out and quickly go for a shot. So something to consider. I actually did this the other day in ranked, and it worked, and it won you the first point. So no harm in that.
I agree. Now I know they had a Doomfist coming top left somewhere, but I wasn't really sure where to stand. They also had a Widow too.
Mm-hmm. So
I figured for Doomfist below the archway, maybe.
Here?
Like no, to the right.
Oh, over there?
Yeah.
So say the Doomfist falls back after that, and then you guys are pushing, but then the Widow is still there shooting. How in that instance, how do you cross back to the shield and rejoin your team without exposing yourself to Widow?
Yeah, never mind. That would be a bad idea.
So with that, considering that, how should you move?
I would probably go into that room then.
Which room? Can you drop?
Maybe stand here.
Okay, and you can't really shoot anyone. It's almost as if you're dead, right?
Yeah.
You're not really doing anything. You don't have LOS or anything. You can't control the fight. You don't know, maybe Doomfist is going to drop here and kill you, right? Like, he's on this side of the map.
Right, that's what I thought he was going to do. But he went right, luckily, but I wouldn't have known where to go.
So what else? What other options do you have? You've talked about that, and you've talked about this.
Maybe I could just like be here.
Why would that be good?
So I'd be around my Zarya.
And you also have this cover. You have that cover, and also if the payload pushes too far, you don't have a lot of distance to make back, because what we established was that you are going to play a lot with your front line, right? You're just going to use shield, and you're going to that's how you're going to advance. So really that's what you should be thinking about.
Okay.
And using the payload, because here you can't see your right click, but you can, like, this cover is going to keep moving, and you can keep moving as long as you keep moving with this cover. Unless the Widow peeks over here, she can't pick you off. Right, so if she's shooting from there, you can move with the payload, then the shield is gonna come up, then you can move with the shield, and then maybe you can hide in there. Widow can't get you, so if Doomfist drops there, you can still dodge in. Your Brig and your Zarya can help you. You're not gonna die from that position, and you can also wait until this is cleared or until the Widow comes back, and then you can peek out and use, you know, and that's gonna probably be your second checkpoint. But this is the cover. But this is the cover you need to use to avoid the Widow. If they're positioned over there, you know, it might be different if they're set up here. Then maybe you should go into there, look for a right click, and then wait for the payload to get to this point, and then rejoin your team. It's going to be situational based on where the enemies are positioned. But here, this is your cover. And you can stand behind shield and you can pressure their shield as well, because that's very important as well. You don't have a lot of shield break with this composition, so it's important that you keep shooting the shield. But now you drop that cover, right? Like you started with the cover and now you drop that cover. And now the cover is left. Now this is a risky cross. You could have been you could have been there, or you could have like kept pushing forward and then you used this shield and then went in there, but now it's going to be risky. Now you almost have to wait. But again, you're worried. You have a Doom above you. Maybe you could peek out and shoot and rejoin like that. That's potentially it. But going to archways, I think, is just going to isolate yourself a little too much.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing you can just think about more on attack. When I'm attacking on payload maps, move with the shield a little more, especially when you don't have map control. So, for example, Gibraltar, second point attack, the enemies have the high ground advantage. You're probably just going to move in with a shield, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say you win a fight and you're trying to finish second point Gibraltar attack, well, then you're not going to stand on the shield because your shield is going to be on point to, as you're finishing the checkpoint. And in that situation, probably better for you to stay around the ship or further back on the bridge, if you know what I'm talking about, where you're where you have better sight lines, you're safe, you can play on high ground, and that's, you can only get that position because you have map control. You can choose where you want to be before the fight, and your enemies have to stop the payload. In this type of a situation, they have map control, they have the high ground, so you're really just waiting for something to open up before you can take that type of position, and you're more locked with your front line.
Okay.
I save the Doom. Doom.
Like in theory, you could be getting shot at here.
Yeah.
Like the widow could potentially kill you, and you have 0 pick potential with these right clicks. But
should I still try to shoot the shield in this situation or no?
I mean, as long as she has the res, the risk isn't as big because you're in a resable spot and they're not in a position to block the res. So yeah, like you should potentially try to shoot the shield, but honestly, if you were here and your shield was here, you should keep shooting at it and keep breaking, because as soon as it breaks, they have to fall back. Then you have more room and less pressure. But in this situation, when the shield has already moved on and it's too risky of a cross for you, you can't really consistently, because the way you output enough DPS to actually break the shield is by left clicking, and if you peek out for left clicks, that's a window for you to get shot. So you're pretty much limited to right clicks in this type of a scenario because you don't have shield or you can't shoot from behind cover. So like what I would probably do, especially when the Doomfist died and I can't really make it back here, I would probably try to peek out here and look for a right click, because maybe I can find a different angle where I can find the kill, right?
Okay.
Like maybe there's a gap there. Maybe I can find something, or at least maybe I can spot the widow. Maybe the widow is looking that way and I can still shoot the shield and then still fall back. And then maybe she looks at me, which means there's less pressure on them. That's probably what I would try to do, because now if the widow is here, she can see all of this. So she can see when the the front line falls back, and then she can still shoot you. Here, it's a bit of a more aggressive angle. And again, because you can't shoot from behind cover, it's probably what I would do.
I agree. That would have been a better spot to go in the left.
Still, like this is very difficult, but this is a shorter path. Like crossing from there to here or from there into that little room, much safer than this or than this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and now you're stuck here.
I was very confused what to do.
Watch wall, she's on bridge.
The widow is free, guys. Come on.
Of course the widow is free. There's only one hero in your composition who can deal with her.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the person who can deal with her. So same thing now, you've killed the widow, so now you have a little more freedom to do what you want. Especially when she puts the shield down here, you could potentially peek out there and look for a right click from behind the shield, because she can't move
That's
this. You know,
true.
if this is a Reinhardt and he can just re-angle the shield, it's different. But because there's a stationary shield, there is a way where you can stay safe while you're waiting for the rest of your spawners, and still potentially, you know, you have a little bit of pick potential, or just stay here and left click into the shield. That's fine too. But you're right clicking. Yeah, like now, you know, especially when they get the hook, they're probably going to commit to the kill. Like, I would probably go for a flank here because of how focused everyone is. So like, that's going to probably be a very nice opening. But you don't have to, absolutely. Like, you can still... You already have a Widow pick. You going there would take yourself out of the fight for maybe 2 seconds. It's still a bit of a gamble. Maybe you don't need a gamble. So just going here and keep pressuring is best. But you keep charging right clicks over and over and over again when their shield is already broken and someone got a hook. So it's very important, just keep left clicking.
True, good point.
Again, right click again. The shield's still up, but it's still a right click. Now the next shield is up, so now you know that in 10 seconds there's a 10-second window when he's not going to be able to replace the shield. So very important to break that second shield.
I'm gonna shatter on her next shield. I'll be fine.
Yeah, and you're still, like, you can see the distance that you're playing, and you're just not very effective. You're very safe, so you don't really die, but you can't discord any of these guys. If someone needs to get saved by the trans, you can't really save them either, because you're playing way too defensively, and you're not actually moving with your front line like we established you kind of have to do with this composition.
Yeah. I knew there was a Doom in the left side, and as soon as I saw him over there, I knew I could move up, but before then I had already isolated myself too early, so I should have been up with my team.
I guess this is also a case of their composition is very slow. This is a bunker composition with a Doomfist. So that Doomfist is basically freelancing. He's going to be playing essentially on his own. He's not going to get a lot of help or a lot of resources going for these plays. So you staying next to Ryan, Zarya, Brig, you know, he wants to go for you in that instance. When you guys are all grouped up, good luck. Like, go for it. You're most likely going to get, even if he kills you, even if he somehow kills you, probably going to get traded. And if he gets traded, you get rezzed. Net positive trade for you. So it would be a little bit different if it was like triple DPS dive, right? Where you have to be much more worried about their positions when they can dance around you. But still, with a slow composition, you need to use your teammates. You know, and you're tunneling so much on the right clicks so that your trans gets forced out by the hook. You don't even see the hook coming.
Yeah, that was...
Like, if I was you in the station, I obviously you have to be aware of this. Maybe you want to look for that right click, but you also have to be aware of this threat. So what I would be doing, I would be positioning myself a little closer to here, so that when I'm shooting this right click, I can still use cover in case. And I also, you know, from this position, you can see this, right? So you can see you can see the right click angle, but you can also see in case they're going to try to hook you, and then you can hide, or if someone gets low. So that's how you kind of want to position yourselves to have the most information. But now you have. This is a blind spot now. You have no idea if something's gonna come here, and you're very vulnerable when you have the right click on. So they get to transfer free.
Push my shield here. Push my shield.
Nice, breaking the shield, charging another right click, and another one. Cool. Left click. All you have to do is left click the shield, and especially now when there's so much risk in comp, most of the time you're just left clicking shield. That's basically what you're doing, especially when the second one goes down.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't actually realize it until now, but I did get too nervous and right click too much.
Yeah.
Want Doom here?
Oh, someone's got to push.
Not here?
Oh, it's in here.
Like here, I could have moved up, but I didn't feel like I could have even done anything if I moved up, because they were already killing everyone.
So who's pushing hard if you move up?
No, I mean like while the gate was opening.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's
I felt like by the time I moved up, you know, and I would have to move back, I wouldn't have.
I mean,
been able to see anyone.
what I would probably do I would maybe go left side and go for a peek over there for a right click and then go
long
back
range.
to card. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Because from here you can't really do much, but there you get a little bit of an angle, like in case someone is top or in case someone is main. Maybe you can put a Discord while you are chasing chasing staggers. So I would move up there, see if I can help my teammates clean this up, and then immediately return to card to be the bus driver.
Okay, that makes sense.
Want Doom here?
Thank you.
I'll be in 2.
Oh, someone's got to push.
Not here?
Oh, Zen.
The door was opening.
Nice. Good job, good job.
I can ult here if you want. Watch out for window bubble line.
Okay. Hoppers are.
Bubble line.
Right, back up here.
Bridge, what?
So in case you see that a fight is breaking out and it's not within your LOS, it's fine to peek to give out an orb, but you have to still return to the card. Giving up card progress for as long as you do here isn't great, just to get some damage in. Because as soon as the payload gets here, then you have that angle anyway, and ideally that's what you want to do. You want to get the payload over here as soon as possible so that you can help your team.
Yeah, I just wanted to get on a orb and harmony in, but then when I saw the widow go up to the, I should have backed up sooner than I did.
Here you can back off because here you were widening your angle just so that you can potentially save your Reinhardt. But as soon as your Reinhardt dies, no one is long enough to the point where you
Yeah, I
have
should've
to
just
switch
backed
your
here.
orb. So yeah, you just fall back to push.
Right, back up here.
I start backing up, but then I see the widow. And
Yeah, because the payload is only here, but it should realistically be here. And then you can just play this position. You can take cover here, and the payload is kind of delivered to the only corner where you can actually deliver it.
Grab.
should I have orbed Orisa here instead? Because I feel like the orb on the hog was a bad call.
Yeah.
We didn't kill the hog, but maybe if I orbed the Orisa, we could have killed her.
Yeah, 100%. 100% you should orb the Orisa. If you kill the Orisa and they lose their front line, a hog is also kind of useless. So you almost get a 2-for-1 if you just get rid of her. Whereas if you kill, first of all, it's going to be harder to kill him because he has a damage reduction and he can heal himself. So you have to chew through 900 damage. So always Orisa first.
Orisa.
Getting the Orisa kill is just so valuable against this composition. This composition completely falls apart without the Orisa.
Hog.
Granted, she has Fortify as well, but still easier to kill. Because Fortify is just a damage reduction, whereas the Vape for the Hog is a damage reduction and it's a heal, and especially like now when he gets hit by a nade, then it's just impossible to kill him.
Yeah.
Hog.
And like now you also end up a little bit overextended, mainly because the payload was so far, so you have to move forward a little bit to hit your shots easier. But if this was your starting position, maybe it could have looked different if the payload was a little bit further. But it's kind of nitpicking, but yeah.
No, that's true. I could have been like on the right side, up the little steps.
Mm-hmm.
Big shot. Doom here.
Okay, you want Ana?
I tried that.
Next fight.
I probably wouldn't give up trance, even though you're probably feeling like it's difficult for you to do stuff, but I probably wouldn't give up 60% trance.
Yeah. I didn't really know what to trans against their comp.
Hmm?
Like, because they had Widow, they were running the Widow and the Doom.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So I guess I would just trans as needed.
Yeah, as needed, and also if Doom ults and you're Ana, you're probably dead. If Doom ults and you're Zen, you can trance it and maybe you can force him to overextend. At least you can survive, right? So it's not a free kill.
True.
I see.
But Ana is definitely not bad either. They don't have
I just wanted to play the hog.
Oh fuck.
yeah. I mean they don't have anything to eat your nades, so
Can I die here?
It's difficult. It's more difficult to play Hog as well. Oh, is this really laggy for you as well? Oh, it's just your game. You're running at 72 FPS. Is this how it looks when you play?
No, it's because when I run my OBS, it lags if I try to record at 1040 or 1440.
Oh.
Because I have dual monitor at 1440.
Oh, okay. But when you played this game, is this how it looked?
No.
Okay.
No, I have 144 hertz.
Back big.
So I feel like you rushed that sleep a little bit.
Yeah, I panicked.
Because I think when it comes to Doom especially, it's good to just pay attention to his cooldowns. Because if he has he's very mobile. So if he has all his 3 cooldowns up, it's going to be more difficult to hit sleeps. Whereas now he's used 2 of his cooldowns, so you don't have to really rush. The only thing he has left is the uppercut, which means you can really take your time. You can really... You're in no rush, because even if you peek here, he can't really kill. I mean, if you peek here, he can't really kill you because he's not within uppercut range. So it's very important when you're playing against Doomfist, just pay attention to his cooldowns.
Huh, okay.
Look at this right here. Fist and seismic slam around, right? So if you go here, he can't fist you anymore. He can only uppercut. But if you position yourself here, you're still safe, and then you can really take your time with it. It's going to be easier to hit because he doesn't really have a clear escape, except for the uppercut. So either you can wait out the uppercut and then sleep him midair, or you can just take an angle here. But you don't have to be afraid of him at all, really.
Okay, no, that's smart to
see.
Wait out his 3 cooldowns.
Now it comes out. But in reality, you have a big window here, right? Where he was right onto you. Boom, you know, so much easier to hit it now, right?
Yeah.
Or even now, much easier, because he's probably still like a second away from another cooldown or something. Or even then, when he starts charging it on the ground, you can peek and potentially go for a sleep, because there's no wall that he can slam you into. I mean, it's a little bit dangerous because he's non-boosted, obviously, but still, just something to think about Doomfist, because when he doesn't have cooldowns, he's very vulnerable.
That's true. I'll go practice more in FFA.
Yeah, that's good actually. There's so many good practice mods now with the workshop, so, and that's a good one to practice against. It's reading his cooldowns and learning how to survive. I'm not sure about the sleep.
Me neither.
There's
a Doomfist on our back line.
shatter here.
So something I tell all Flex supports is, as soon as you get the nano, call that you have it so that your team knows, and then try and figure out who you want to use it on, and then give them the information that you intend to use it on them. Even if you're unsure who you want to use it on, just putting it out there that you have it is important, because then maybe someone will call for it as a resource. Okay, nano me, I'm going to try to do this or whatever. Especially if you have vocal teammates on your team, that might happen. But very, very important that you call it out. Because maybe, you know, you might end up in a situation where Reinhardt is 200 HP here, he's falling back, you want to nano to save him, and you nano him, and he hides. But if he knows that nano is on the board, that you might use it on him,
You can prepare.
yeah, he can potentially use... He knows that you can still turn the tide if he gets the nano, right? So it's very important to put that information out there.
Okay. My nano here is very, like, I'm not sure about it. I ended up nanoing the Zarya because she was full charge,
Yeah.
but in hindsight, I feel like I should have nanoed the Rhine.
Why?
Because he dies in a second, you'll see. He dies really quickly.
Well, if it's... Obviously, you can use it defensively to save someone, but also if you want to use it offensively to get value with this composition, Reinhardt can't really do much. He doesn't have speed boost, so he can't really close the distance to the point where he can swing. So if you use it on him, that's for the purpose of saving him. If you want to use it for damage to actually do something,
I'll be sorry, yeah.
especially when she's fully charged. I mean, she can melt the shield on her own and just W in and do whatever she wants. Like, he shouldn't be peeking, right? Or maybe he gets pull hooked, and while he's getting pull hooked, then you nano him, because then they close the distance for him. That's something I do a lot as well, especially, and that's something that most Anas do, especially because anytime your enemies hit a pull hook, most of the times it's a kill. But if you actually nano as soon as that hits, then obviously you negate a ton of damage, you negate a lot of cooldowns, and it kind of creates a lot of space for you. As I said, it closes the distance, because that's what you want to do. If Reinhardt is here and Orisa is here, Orisa wants to go backwards. She doesn't want to get, she doesn't want Reinhardt to swing.
Sure, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, so that's something I do a lot. Again, if there's no clear offensive target to use it on, then you can use it defensively to save people, especially when they get hooked. Like, you immediately pop it as they're getting hooked, assuming it's a target that's gonna survive. And most targets survive. Like, even if a Tracer gets pull hooked and you nano her, she can probably survive and then create a lot of chaos.
Okay.
Depends, obviously, if she's discordant or not, and so on. But yeah, just calling like who you're gonna use it on, so that they know. Maybe your Azaria, if she knew 5 seconds earlier, maybe she would have flanked, and imagine a nano boosted Zarya just wrecking in the back line, and then maybe it opens up for you to find a nade or something.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean about maybe I should have just nailed the Rhine.
And it's something you can read into as well, because you should know that he has a very low shield. So yeah, you can pay attention to his shield as well, because as you were watching here, when he's under a ton of pressure, you're just reading the situation. Well, he might need nano here because his shield is low. Let's see if he gets pull hooked. Doesn't get pull hooked, very low. Goth has bubbled, so probably don't need to nano yet. Okay, he's okay, I don't need to nano, but still, there were moments where maybe if he doesn't get the bubble, you maybe have to nano him. There's you just have to make the read. But you still should know that he's in trouble because he's moving up without shield. In reality, he should be using payload as cover, but he's pushing forward, so. And now you've actually closed the distance on the Orisa, so now it's not too bad to use it on him because he's useless. He's useless because he doesn't have shield. If he doesn't have shield, he either has to hide or he has to swing. And if nano boosted Ryan swings on the Orisa here, now you can get value because he's closed the distance. So that's why you have to read, is he going to be able to get value? Is my Reinhardt going to be able to push into them? If he gets pull hooked in, yeah. If Orisa doesn't fall back and lets him walk up like that, then yeah, probably can get value.
Okay.
I'm not playing right into this. I want to go monkey. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do anything.
Difficult seeing that guy having much success with the Winston.
Anything? Want to go monkey?
Doesn't really matter. Fight is over when Ryan dies, kind of.
Yeah, our comp was very far from traditional.
Yeah.
I can die here.
But there's still a lot of things you could have done better in terms of being a little more aggressive, communicating your nanos. Those are the big things. Because you can see easily how that previous fight could have gone in your favor if you would have hit the nano on the Reinhardt. And a good Reinhardt wouldn't have pushed up in a position where he pushed in with such a low shield. But if you would have communicated with him that you have the nano, then a good Reinhardt probably would have done, okay, nano me, I'm going to swing on the wrist or something like that. So that's why just sharing that information is super important. So you're positioning a little aggressive, because, especially when you know that he's here. You don't want to play within punch range. Like, now, obviously, he doesn't contest, but you're putting yourself dangerously close. You're putting yourself with, say this was a little further back, and they were coming out. You would probably want to be a little more defensive.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're also you're standing on the card. I don't know if they still have a Widow, but maybe the Widow can shoot you. So say that they still have a retake. You have walls. Like, where do you go now? Say they're ready to retake here.
Behind there's the there's a car right there.
Yeah, yeah, that's
and
good.
I usually just stand behind it.
Yeah, that's good. Or even there, but yeah, like that.
If I
that's
have a
good
ton of time, like sometimes I might take like high ground here.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially good if they don't have a composition that can punish that. You know, if a widow pops out here, obviously you can't keep that position. Then that is better. But to say they're playing 3-3, they're playing goats. Definitely very good because only D.Va can contest you. D.Va can't solo kill you most of the time. So unless you really, really mess up. And then you have better angles for nades, so definitely a good idea. But here it looks like you almost want to challenge him.
I was afraid because it was overtime, but that's really not my job, so.
Here as well, you've been in this like the last 15 seconds. You're just playing very brave. You don't have a shield, you don't have a Reinhardt, you don't have anything, but you're the furthest up of your team.
This is really bad decisioning on my part.
Yeah, and you
for some reason I thought we were just gonna roll into them.
Yeah, but you
just had everyone.
Yeah, but you just used your bubble, so gonna be very difficult for your composition to take space. You have Roadhog and Winston without a bubble, so it's gonna be difficult for you to take space. And it's fine for you to move up and look for a sleep as they're spawning, but not in front of the shield. Like you could, what I would 100% do is peek out here and look for a sleep this way. If I get a sleep, then maybe we can punish.
Okay.
But now you know, if you look at
I agree. I agree. That was really bad.
And also, this isn't a high level. Even if you survive and you don't get killed, if there's one other person there, you probably die. But even if you don't die and you push in and you use this, she's gonna fortify. And you don't want to waste a nade either, right? So you don't want to waste these cooldowns. Whereas if you peek around there, maybe you can sleep someone else, or maybe you can sleep her in the back, and then you guys can kill her. But this makes it very easy for her to react with a fortify if she sees you just pushing in front of her shield. Yeah, now you've blown both your cooldowns. That if you were a little bit more patient, you understood that we can't really engage with this yet.
I could have done a lot more with it.
Yeah. You know, wait for him to get bubble, wait for the gate to start opening, find something else, find something better. And that's, you know, taking off angles and looking for these plays is important. Potentially, what you could, obviously Doomfist was raining in that area, but even when you took the point, you could potentially even go up here, look for a nade this way, right? You can just create these nade angles for you. Even when you can't take high ground, you can push around, and that's especially important to do against Orisa compositions, because Orisa compositions, once they put down the shield, that's their front line. That's what they're pivoting around, and it's. If you can anticipate where the next shield is going to be, you can kind of, you know, pre-position or start rotating in a way where you are going to get a better angle.
Okay.
And like that or this would have potentially been it.
I need help. Hey.
You know, because you get such a... Now you peek here and you have such good sightlines, right? If Orisa was still here in the beginning with the shield... So easy to find nades here, so easy to find sleeps, or at least just higher value overall. So now you have a Reaper behind you shooting you, but
yeah, actually, I don't think I even saw that. Wow.
You see him there?
I thought he. Oh, okay.
Wait, there we go. Here he is.
Oh my god.
But beyond, like, obviously it's easy for you to tunnel vision, and you know, if you're looking at something like that, it's easy to tunnel vision. But really, you don't even have to see him. You can hear him, and that's a big thing. That one of the guys that I coached yesterday, he was an Orisa player, and he struggled against Hammonds. And what I told him is, you should fortify when you hear Hammond's sound cue when he's slamming the pile drive. Yeah. So when he's above
the whirring in the air, the whir,
yeah, exactly.
Drives down.
You hear that, then you fortify if you know that you will have to fortify. right? So it's extremely important that you pay attention to sound cues and react to them. So that's one way for him to know when he has to use a cooldown based on a sound cue, even if he doesn't see. Because he doesn't have to see.
Agree.
Because he doesn't have to see. And here you can actually, this is different, but not really, because you just heard him do the Wraith Walk, and you hear him shooting, which means he's just come out of Wraith Walk. So immediately you have to turn.
Right, I agree. I should have responded to that better.
Yeah. You hear two shotgun shots. So as soon as you hear those two shotgun shots that close to you, this is irrelevant. You have to deal with him.
I agree.
Because he was in beyond like behind 3 people, then he just got to teleport out.
No.
Orisa can die. Orisa may shift.
Reaper behind. Reaper behind.
So this is, sort of one of those situations where you just want to fight. They have spawners, you have map control. Like, obviously you have to push card, but this is another time where you can potentially, like we talked about the example on Gibraltar. Maybe you can experiment with your positioning a little bit. Maybe you can try and look for angles. Obviously here you can't really leave card, but in situations where you can potentially leave card, good time to go up on high ground because it's going to give you better nade angles. Now you might not have that option. Maybe you can still look for plays. Like what could you? There's not much you can do from here, but potentially, what could you look for? What kind of place could you look for? Where could you go?
Well, I feel like Reaper has ult soon. So something really good is if I could like prepare to sleep him for his ult. So that's what I tried to do. I tried to go into the little room so I knew he was going to drop behind payload, and probably after it went under the bridge. So I tried to get there to get asleep, but then he saw me.
Yeah, but
so when I sleep,
but imagine he doesn't have ultimate, and that's not what you're worrying about. If you want to kind of set up to potentially make a play with your composition, you guys have map control. Where could you go to set up an offensive play? Because so far what we've seen, very defensive. Yeah, exactly. So now you can see that these guys are falling back, which means they're probably pushing up. As long as you have both your cooldowns, you can potentially peek out here. Maybe they put down a shield here. Maybe you can sneak through a nade and then fall back. If someone pushes you, you can still easily sleep them here. You have a mini to play on, so pretty low risk and pretty high reward if you hit a big nade. You hit a big nade, maybe your frontline can push in. Maybe your Winston, who is above them, can drop and finish off a kill. So that's one way when you have map control where you can look for offensive plays, or just mix it up a little bit, because you can make a lot more plays. Like if you were here now, maybe you would have been able to hit the nade on Winston and someone else, and then maybe he can commit to this kill. And then everyone can keep pushing up. And your Mercy is pushing the payload and healing these guys. And then you just snowball. Because now someone's saying, Orisa can die. What if you had naded her in that situation? Or if you were playing in an offensive position, if your positioning was offensive enough to be able to find a nade there. But you're very defensive.
Reaper behind.
I can out here.
Even with the trance, if you were thinking about that, maybe you guys force the trance and you can still find a nade as they're pushing into you. Boom, they're pushing into you. Boom, you sneak in a nade. You start falling back. Your team pushes up. Maybe someone tries to contest you. Maybe someone has to fall back because they're low. Creates a lot of chaos. Maybe you win the fight off of a nade. Because so far there hasn't been a single nade that you've hit that has been game winning. And in reality, if you're playing Ana and you want to climb a lot, you do have to hit some game-winning nades, or at least like one game fight-winning nade. Or it doesn't have to be fight-winning, but maybe trade a nade for an ultimate. Like, it's such a strong ability that you have to, when you have map control, look for these a little more.
I agree.
And you're also safe from Doomfist there, Like, you can see him coming. He has to run around a corner to get you. Much easier for you to sleep him. So not a bad area to explore as an Ana next time you play.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of my positioning is very reactive, and I need to work on being more proactive about finding, looking at their shield or how they're setting up and finding a better nade spot, even if it involves, sometimes moving forward a bit.
Yeah, just being very offensive. So you very rarely end up in front of shield. And there's a balance, because what you did as soon as you capped second point, you moved in front of shield, you look for a nade. Like, it's good that you're doing that. That's what I would do as well. It's just that you did it in the wrong way. You went right into her rather than taking an angle, right? Which is the same thing. What I'm kind of discussing here is, I'm not saying push into them, but take an angle, right? Like, maybe shield is angled like this. Maybe you get an angle, because naturally they're gonna come and contest somewhere around here. So same thing. Maybe you're pushing in the payload. A super defensive position might be in there, and you can only heal on point. A more offensive position, maybe you look for a little bit of an nade here, and then you can immediately fall back, or maybe you even push in closer, and then as soon as someone comes out, you nade onto the ground onto them, because they have to rush to the point, right? Like, there's different ways, but you position yourself very, very defensively, especially on the Ana, but also on the Zen. You were very, very defensive, very far back.
Yeah.
And then this nade, like, you lob it. So this is another thing. Anytime you're playing a Roadhog compositions and you have nade and your Roadhog gets a pull, be ready to nade whoever you pull, especially if it's a tank. So if it's like a Tracer or whatever, don't have to nade it. But if it's a Roadhog, if it's an Orisa, that's a free nade, especially with a trance. If you nade her, could potentially convert the kill. Especially if it's a hog, because if you don't nade the hog, then maybe he can get up, he can get some support, he can get some heals, he can use his vape, and then he can fall back even after you got the hook. As soon as you nade him, can't do that anymore. So something you have to pay attention, because now you just kind of lob it, but even if you hit it on someone over there, you're already falling back, you can't convert it.
Yeah, that's true.
So if your teammates are pushing at the beginning of the fight, if like this, if they're pushing here, you peek out here, it's a nade they can follow up on. Once you're already playing defensively and you have to fall back, they will not follow up that. So you pretty much have to use your nade to relieve pressure, or nade someone that everyone can follow up on, which is here, because you don't have anyone there or anywhere, because you're falling back against the trance, right? Does that make sense?
I agree. Yeah, sometimes I just tunnel vision and I just try to, get a big nade, but I fail to think about where my teammates are positioned to see if they can even follow up on it.
Yeah, it's just taking angles, like understanding which angles to take, because you never create a good angle for yourself. And to create a good angle for yourself, usually you have to take a risk. And if you get really good with Ana, you will be taking calculated risks. Guess you sleep him and you wake him up, so
yeah.
But basically you're going to be taking risks which have high reward and medium to low risk,
like
rather than high risk, high reward.
Forward.
Yeah, when you're looking for nades.
Okay.
Low to medium risk for very high reward nades. That's what those are the angles you should be looking for. Not low risk. Right now what I'm seeing is a lot of low risk, low reward. And some high risk, low reward. But we can discuss that. We can maybe go through overhead of some maps after this one and just kind of theory craft what would be good angles. And as you are reviewing your own gameplay, using the replay viewer, you can think about that as well. Did I hit any offensive nades? Could I have found an angle? And just fly around the map and think about potential angles, depending on where the enemy shield is. So like now I'm not saying Okay, never mind. Wait, let's wait a little bit. So right now, if you want to find an offensive nade, what is an angle you can take?
Like maybe here.
Yep.
Just because my hog is here and my mercy is right here.
Yeah. I mean, if as long as it's not that high of a
Yeah,
risk.
you're
So
right.
they say they're playing goats and they don't have anyone who can come up there, then this is very low risk and very high reward. If they have like a Doomfist who can be there and then your Roadhog isn't there to help, then it's probably high risk, high reward. If Doomfist is there and your Hog is here and you are there, you know, medium risk, high reward still. But it's much easier for you to lob a nade from there than from here because your Orisa is here, so they will be looking at her.
Right.
Start moving back. Come back. Break Ryan shield.
Especially if you know that a fight really isn't gonna break out, you can look for a lot more. Even if it's just for ult charge, you can look for a lot more nades because now you've held your nade the entire way until you've gotten pushed back.
Yeah, that's true.
And really, when you have this high ground and they have a ground bound composition, they don't have anyone that's gonna dive you. Well, I mean, he's dead now as well. Just throw it out. Like, you're gonna have it by the time you guys fall back. They're not gonna push you anyway. The payload is too far back. Just
Okay.
You can just try.
Come back. Break Ryan shield.
As long as you know you won't need it to protect yourself defensively.
One. Done? Nice.
How did that not hit?
I think he's shielded. Yeah, he's shielded.
Unlucky. That was decent. And you can see like your angle, you're shooting it from the side, so there's a higher chance of that hitting. It's a little better. Obviously, like if you were even here, then that's an even better angle. But then maybe it's a higher
There's
risk
a
as well.
Hanzo on the right.
Exactly. There's much higher risk.
Yeah.
So
Right
I
here.
should have hit that.
boom. You see, like if you were just playing behind the shield like you did your entire attack, you can't hit this nade. But because of this, like he has to worry about this, he has to worry about that, he has to worry about that, and then you get a free nade. Obviously, you almost get picked off by the Hanzo, but you're still using cover relatively well. Like the Hanzo has to go there to shoot you, so you're dodging pretty well, and you're looking for this nade, and you're looking to make a play. So you're with pretty low risk. You know, this position, as long as they don't have a Widow over there, pretty low risk. The only one you have to really watch out for is the Hanzo. So this is a good example of.
I actually got that from our last VOD review.
What this? Or what?
Backing
Okay.
up and
Okay.
taking that high ground,
Yeah.
you know, backing up early.
Yeah, just taking a little bit of a high ground, you see how much of a difference it makes. How much easier this is as opposed to like trying to get it from here where he can
Yeah.
easily shield it. Because you can also put it behind him. You know, like if he's angling the shield like this, getting it from here or here is very difficult. You kind of have to almost jump up on the payload and lob it over here. But from this angle, you can shoot it anywhere over here. And unless he completely angles his shield towards you, he's probably going to get hit. Or if he angles his shield toward you and blocks it, maybe someone's going to shoot him from the other side.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
he has to make a concession.
Right here.
Boom. Very easy. Like anywhere here, you can hit him.
Right here.
And this is, you know, like and anywhere here. And like I said, if he wants to block it, Hog is going to kill him.
There's a-
Something you can also practice is on defense, practicing you know, the nade spots in
Nade
the beginning.
spots.
Yeah, just free ult charge. It's the same thing with, like I talked about. It took you almost a minute to use your first nade. It kind of won you the fight, but it took 1 minute to use it. You can just use it in the beginning. You're gonna get it back anyway, and there's 0 risk, and you potentially get some ult charge. So
I agree.
something you can practice as well on most of the maps. Just find one spot into spawn door and the timing, and then good thing to have in your arsenal. Maybe that 5 or 10% ult charge will help you hit your ult spike a little faster.
Shield's over here. Play shield.
Yeah, so probably what we talked about last time was that in case you get flanked from there, if you're over here, you're kind of screwed. But now you have a lot more cover, and you can move there. You can get offensive. You can get defensive. You still have a good LOS. That's why this position is pretty good. Even
last
though,
time,
yeah,
in the last VOD, I ended up backing up this way and then getting screwed.
Oh, okay.
So this time I just preemptively took
Right.
the high ground here, like you had suggested.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because another thing is, like, if the fight goes south and you guys all die, you can still fall back. You don't have. There's no chance that you get staggered, or there's a lower chance that you get staggered because you're already kind of where you want to fall back to.
Break range shield, we won.
Nice lead.
Yes. Big res. Big Azara.
I have nano. I can nano you, Hog.
Yeah, I fucked up here.
No, but regardless, like comms, right? As soon as this
If
lights
I
up,
called out I had nano, I might have been able to win this fight because I ulted Hog, and then Fair was right behind me and I didn't see her, and she ulted and died. But you're right, if I called it out,
Yeah.
she could have been like, give me nano.
I have nano, and then it's like, oh, I can barrage. Okay, nano barrage, boom. Like
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
these mid fight calls super important.
I completely agree.
Bad guy.
Because I didn't even see her until she started barraging.
It's fine. We just won.
And that's another thing. Even before the round starts, you look at your comp and immediately on attack and defense. In case you're playing Ana, you're not on Z anymore. Who am I most likely gonna nano in this composition when I get my
Pharah.
nanos?
Farah. Number 1, Farah. Number 2, Tracer. And then if their Ana is dead, then Hog if he's ulting.
So
If anything,
I'd say
it's left.
it's going to be very situational, but all 3 are pretty good nano targets.
Yeah.
There will be situations when you can put it on the Tracer and she can just push in and cause havoc on in the backline. Whenever Farah has it, you probably use it on her for the nano barrage, and maybe when he has his Hog ult, you can look for nano Hog. So now you're coming up on 71. You should already fight is finished. They have 2 dead. You should already be thinking, I almost have nano. If I get it, we can nano barrage. That's what I would be calling.
Yeah. I need to be more proactive about not waiting until I have ult, but maybe when I'm 70 or 80% to at that point check.
Yeah. What is going to be my plan with this nano boost? And you can see he's close. Yeah, I almost have nano boost. We can nano Hog or we can nano Farah. They know this a lot earlier, and then maybe mid fight when the Farah dies,
Huh? Shield's over.
she just gets rest, and maybe because you called it 20 seconds ago, he knows that you have nano. Maybe he's checking when he's dead. Maybe he's checking for your ult, and he sees that you have nano, or you just call out I have nano, and then you've already put it in his head 15 seconds ago or 20 seconds ago.
Right.
Did you have that? I'm getting rest. You can nano barrage, and then maybe he gives you that information. Maybe he doesn't talk, but still, like there's at least a chance that you get that feedback back from him.
Right. I think one of the mistakes I make is that I try to check for other people's ults, but I have a habit of not doing that until after I've completely built mine. And in this case, usually you build ult in the middle of a fight, so I didn't really have time to check it after I had already built it. So if I had checked it beforehand, called it out, maybe seen who I can combo with, this would have gone a lot differently.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When you get to like 70% plus, just start thinking about it. Like who am I gonna be using it on? Especially if there's several good targets. Sometimes there aren't. Sometimes it's pretty obvious, and you're just gonna use it on Winston when he's jumping in. But yeah, when there's several options, it's very important for you to put it out there, both for yourself and for others.
Bad guy.
Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to
Okay, so we switched to Zen here. You have a lot of time to think about stuff walking forward. What are you thinking about here in terms of your job and things like that? Because obviously different comp again. What's in your mind here?
Mostly Orisa is going to be my job, because if I can take care of Orisa and, you know, sometimes Hanzo, then I can allow our pharmacy to kind of be their own little thing. And in this comp, I usually have to play a little bit more defensively too, because Mercy might not be in immediate range to help.
Mm-hmm. So she has essentially two people to pocket.
Yeah.
Orisa generally a little more self-sufficient than a Reinhardt, so you don't necessarily have to, because she's going to shield in front of her. You know, she's going to take cover when her shield is down. So I disagree with the fact that you have to, you know, mostly take care of Orisa. I think, yeah, if she's getting low, sure, but usually that's not going to be your focus. I think most of the time, especially when no one has taken damage, everyone is full HP, you're trying to put it on
Hanzo.
one of them. Most likely him, like you say, because she's gonna want to pocket the Pharaoh. And then if you can give him orb, then maybe he can take angles where he's gonna eat a bit of poke, but he's gonna dish some back out, and then he can keep that position and he can keep jiggle peeking because he has the orb. Otherwise, he takes too much damage. He has to fall back. He needs to press the I need healing button. You have to look around. Your Mercy has to look around. So I would make sure that my orb is as the fight starts on Hanzo as much as possible, or on Farah if she's pocketing him. And yeah, just reading the situation. But because usually, like I said, it's pretty obvious. Mercy's gonna pocket someone. On your attack, it was obvious. It's just a Widow. She's gonna pocket the Widow. It's not something a target she has to hard pocket, but she's probably gonna pocket her and then roam around. So for you, it's just whatever. I put it on my front line. I don't have to think about it twice. But now she has a lot more to worry about. She has two people who pretty much need pocket to be able to be effective. They're not very self-sufficient heroes. You know, Hanzo a little more so than the Pharah, but still.
Yeah, do it.
We're only gonna shatter here. We're only gonna.
You know, you're keeping it on hog.
Yeah.
This is where it should be, right?
Yeah.
Your Hanzo is not taking space, or he's not going in a position where he's going to be taking damage. You're retaking space, just double pocket. Double pocket, she's going to clear the high ground for you, then eventually Hanzo's going to claim up, then you're probably going to give it to Hanzo. But these are the guys you have to focus on. Him and the Hanzo. Because the more... If you have orb, you know, because again, he's not doing anything here. Until he climbs up here, he doesn't have to have orb. But imagine if she has orb and just takes one shot. First of all, less of a chance to die because you have double healing. But also she can damage boost a lot more because she's going to get healed up a lot faster. So automatically it makes both of their lives much easier. But it's on both the tanks. So it's just the wrong read, because, you know, go into the fight you were also like, oh, I probably need to put it on the Orisa, but yeah. In this case, I think you understand why that isn't the case. And even more so when there are threats to the Pharah. So when there are a lot of threats to the Pharah and you guys are playing Pharah, even if she's getting the Mercy pocket, she's probably going to need more help, especially with the new machine gun McCree.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And what is this positioning? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't realize the payload was so far back, and then I took a positioning that was way too far back. I should have gone into bank, the high ground above bank.
Yeah, or even peek out here. But yeah, probably there. Or even you don't even have to do that if your team isn't going there, because if your tanks aren't going there and there's a lot of people here, might be a little bit risky. But at least go with the shield, and then if you guys win the fight, you get a couple of kills, then you can go up. When you know that this is clear. But now, yeah, you don't have an angle. You can't really orb anyone. You see, you can hear you mashing the shift key here, but you can't reach it. Oh, come on. Come on. So close. Yeah. Not doing much here.
Bruh.
And basically, for the last 15 seconds, you
I've
might as
done
well
nothing.
you might as well have been in spawn. Your team is very, very confident here because they've gotten 2 kills, but they don't understand that their Zenyatta is dead.
Yeah.
Back.
I misread that fight. I thought it was going to be pushed back more, and then this high ground would help, but we actually ended up pushing them back. And then I got fucked because I didn't plan for that.
Yeah.
Pawns are discorded. Underbird.
See, now it's good. The orb is on her. She was critical, but now she's full immediately again. So super important to keep her up. So you having orb on the Pharah here is super important, right? Like if you don't have orb,
Pawns are discorded.
might have died there, or at least had a chance to die.
Underbird. He fell down.
And you see, like she's not taking damage at all. She's not taking damage ever, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Behind payload now.
Now, probably him, right? Like he's in a position where he's pretty aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
People can shoot back at him. If he takes critical damage, he might drop down and then wait for heals. He can be because now like she's getting pocket, but she's very defensive. She's not taking a lot of damage. You see, now he's taking damage. So yeah, you just have to establish which one needs.
Who's in more trouble?
Yeah.
Right.
Boom, you switch to him now, but it should have just been automatically on him as soon as he climbed up here.
Mm-hmm.
Behind discord.
We're gonna shatter here.
Is it still worth it to discord the Ryan in a scenario where he's getting so many pockets like bubbles and nanos, etc.? When there's like a McCree on the left that I could have discorded too.
Yeah, there's still value because even if you discord
still
him,
value?
who's
Okay.
who's gonna really kill? I mean, it depends, right? Like if your Pharah is here and she's pushing the McCree, you discording him could help her one shot. But in a situation like this where it's a very straightforward fight, your front line is here, their front line is there, everyone is sort of behind shield, then really it's just gonna come down to, unless you want to flank and go for a play, it's gonna come down to who breaks shield and who wins the pressure game here. So if you just put orb on her when she's barraging and you discord the Rhine, it's gonna be harder for him to push up, right? Like if he's pushing up while discorded and everyone is shooting him, he's gonna take a lot of damage. He's gonna have to put up his shield, and then your front line doesn't have to fall back, and then maybe their front line has to fall back a little bit.
Okay.
So obviously gonna be situated, but yeah, see, like he dies. If you don't have discord on him, maybe he doesn't.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like this icon, just the concept I just explained, this icon basically tells you everything, right? Like I said, everyone is going to be shooting each other's front line. Whoever wins the frontline war probably wins the fight. Whoever's front line falls. And you can see everyone is shooting him because that's the only thing that in that scenario that's feasible, unless again you go for a flank or your Pharah is here. If it's a more chaotic fight, your Orisa is here, your Pharah is here, your Hanzo is here. A lot more freedom with who you want to discord.
True.
And again, if he doesn't hit this, if he doesn't hit this huge dragon, you guys win the fight just because you won the frontline fight.
You're so close.
We needed our trans there.
If I had started out the round to Zen, I would have had trans by then. But I didn't swap until they were halfway through the
You're
point.
so close.
But I mean, let me see.
Well, no. If I had done more things in those 15 seconds, I would have had trans.
Yeah.
That's a better way to put
Yeah.
it. No, I could have built it in those,
Yeah.
in those few seconds.
Because we have, let's see, so from 55.
Yeah, I could have built it at 37% from this point.
Yeah, you built like 20% in almost a minute. And if you were
Yeah.
just behind shield with your Orisa when you guys were getting advantage, yeah, you get it.
I would have had it.
Yeah.
Needed that. I know. Needed it. Not you should have
I
had.
feel like that honestly cost us a game.
Needed it.
Those 15-20 seconds could have resulted in a trans.
No, I just.
Wait, let me listen to
No,
this
I just
interaction.
swapped, dude. I just swapped to Zen. I was on him. I was on him.
I know. Needed it. Not you should have had it. Needed it.
Mm. You needed it, not you should have had it, but now we've just established that, yeah, you should have had it.
No defense.
Oh. Yeah. So, wait, what main tank are you playing? Okay, so now you swap to the Orisa, so again, still, like, you're gonna be pretty much, you have to go with your Orisa and use her shield, because now you're freelancing too much again. You're not playing, you shouldn't obviously play right on the Orisa shield, but you should play in a way where you can use her shield, because that's where your angles are gonna be most of the time. Like, that's where the fight is gonna be taking place, especially when you're Zen. It's like going
Should I have gone left?
wherever your Orisa goes, that's where you should go.
Okay.
Especially when you're retaking control. That's why I said on second point you were like, I should have gone through bank and up top, and I was like, yeah, but only if your Orisa goes there first, or if you know that is clear. So if on the retake your front line isn't going in there, you can't go there either. But if you wipe your enemy team, then you can go up. Yeah, then everyone can potentially go up bank, because it's going to be cleared by default. So now, now you can't help these guys. You can't help these guys. So but if you go here, you can already start shooting them. You can still potentially orb him. You can orb pretty much everyone.
I agree.
Yeah.
No defense.
Maybe you would have been able to react and heal
Free? Out there,
heal the Mercy. And also because these fights are just almost always decided by the frontline fights, it's important for you, just like I said in the previous, on first point, when you got the trance on first point attack, you don't want there to be too big of a distance between you and the front line, because it's going to be too hard for you to catch up to them in case something goes low. Hexadec with a 2-month sub, thank you so much, appreciate it. Hope all is well. But yeah, does that make sense, right? Because if you're flying it too much, especially when you have the trance and his shield breaks, and usually when you are retaking map control and there's Orisa against Orisa, he already has a shield. Your Orisa has to put a shield. Their shield breaks. He's gonna have a second one before yours. So it's very likely that you guys are gonna be under a lot of pressure, and it's gonna be difficult for you to win the initial shield war on the retake. So important for you to, yeah, like maintaining this type of a distance, or maybe like a little bit closer, but constantly maintaining that distance.
Okay.
Wasn't Swoo's last VOD also Dorado? Yeah, it was.
We're good. Look at Zen.
Yeah, so like this is good, right? You're free to shoot. You're helping with when the shield war. Now there's no longer an Orisa. But you saw how you guys would have won that fight on second point, if not for the dragon, just because you were discording and shooting the Rhine.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you win that, he has to fall back. Your DPS can do whatever they want. Hanzo can frag them. Pharah can frag them. So now this is good. You're safe enough. You're using the shield. You have cover here. You have cover here. You get decent angles. And if something goes wrong, or maybe what if they have an Orisa Hog and the pull hook, you can still save them with trance. You have so many more options.
Low here. Wait, no.
Yeah, I was trying to stay in range for trans.
Oh, see? Yeah, you see? Like you're getting all of this, so there's no need to
Nice.
flank.
So you're just holding the win now.
Just because you're using the Orisa.
Points there.
But now you're too defensive again. Well, let's see. You're probably going high ground. Okay, you're going high ground.
I fuck up. I go on the high ground. They're like, watch out for McCree. I look over. I'm like, sure enough, there's a McCree right there. I knew he had a high noon too.
So what should you have done?
Not gone on high ground.
Yeah, but what's even better?
Gotten cover. I don't know. I feel like where I was pretty good. Like here, maybe a little bit more to the left.
But so the fight ends. What can you do? Where do you think is the best position to defend from for your team?
we should all get high ground.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, you can do
But
that.
the card is right there, though.
Yeah.
Would that be dangerous?
Yeah, it would be a little bit dangerous, but it's still a good habit for you to get into, to call if you want to go high ground and they have snipers or McCree, then you can't go high ground unless you have a shield. So say this scenario doesn't exist. If you want to go up on high ground, you need cover. You need a shield if they have pick potential. If they don't have pick potential, and if they're playing like 3-3, then more freedom.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Or if you have someone who can contest the point, maybe you move up here with the Orisa and a Diva. If you have a Diva, maybe the Diva's contesting this, right? Or maybe if the payload isn't as close, maybe if the payload is like a little bit further back, so you still have a little bit of leeway, and then you can drop. You guys can choose to drop at any point.
If the Hanzo went up top left with me, would that be safe for me to go then?
As long as you're aware of the angles. Like if a Hanzo peeks there, you obviously don't want to. At least you don't want to peek in a way where if you get picked off by the Hanzo, by the enemy Hanzo, you can't get risked. You don't want to put yourself in that type of a situation.
So one of my biggest worries is McCree coming into that left room, because I know he's setting up for high noon soon.
Well, right now it shouldn't be a worry because you know that he's controlling it. So if he gets pushed out of here, then that should be a worry. But right now you're good. Like going up on high ground now, obviously, like you said, they can't really leave. I mean, they could. Theoretically, if there's no Sombra to back up, they could still leave and then drop at any point. And that gives you a better angle. It forces the enemy probably to go this way. Or to go under to force you guys on the ground. But it gives you more chance to... Yeah, go on.
Sorry, so in this scenario, would it be good if we like all went up to the high ground right now and then just Hog stays on payload maybe? Or should the Hog come up too in that scenario?
I mean, everyone could...
I see some groups...
Everyone could potentially just go up, and because all of them no one can get on the high ground, but everyone can drop at any point. And you know, if the enemies choose to go this way and your Hog is on the ground, then you're fighting 6 versus 5.
Okay.
But obviously, if this is like 1 meter away, and say you're 1 meter away from this, the payload is here, right? So say the check mark is here and the payload is here. So it's a similar scenario, but let's move this forward to this end, okay? You guys go up to high ground and everyone goes on high ground and they have a Sombra. Then you can't really do that, right? Then someone has to camp the high ground. But now you're in a situation where there is no Sombra, so if someone touches the card, you guys will have time to react, and you're also placing your shield and you're setting up in a position where you can immediately react and drop. But if you're holding here and the payload is here 1 meter away, you can't immediately react. You can't just drop and immediately stop it, right? So it kind of depends on the position, which is why I said if the payload in this scenario is a little bit further back, 100% the right call to just go up on high ground with everyone. If they choose to go here, you can fight for this. You have a huge advantage. If they go main, especially like you say you're playing an Ana instead of a Zen, much easier for you to find nades instead of just playing behind the shield, right? Because that's what we saw. Like you couldn't really find angles. So you could call for the rest of your team to go up. So as a rule of thumb, almost always, if you want to get high ground as a flex support, try to ask your teammates to go up as well, whenever possible. Not always. You know, say the script is flipped. You're pushing in the payload, and you want to get high ground, and you're on the attack. Maybe you can just go up on your own and just heal from here, and then look for nades. You know, you don't have to have your teammates come up with you.
Okay.
Because the angles are just so much better from here than on the ground. And you can see, like, now the payload's moved up far enough. So if all of you were here, you could, or here, so you put your shield here, you can spam these angles for free. You can look for right clicks for free. You can all shoot them as they're coming in. So by the time he gets to the point, he barely has any shield. And again, you can drop at any point. So that would have been even better to ask your team to come up.
Let us know if Free's going high ground.
He's here.
And then that guy's not a worry if all of you guys are there.
Right.
Fully supports.
And now your angles suck. Compared to what they were, they suck. And if all of you guys were there, McCree would have gone there, and then McCree's angles would suck, and he wouldn't be able to do anything. He would be useless. But now like a McCree should never ever, when he's retaking on attack Dorado, be able to just go up here and clear this out on his own. That should not be possible. So that's something you can do to lead your team to make sure that you avoid that. Because, you know, like, you can't really get, well, first of all, if you do get dropped on the floor, so say a scenario is manufactured where all of you have to drop, still need this distance way too far. If something goes wrong, you can't catch up with the trance, right? And your angles suck because you want this angle, or even like flank for a right click and then get back. You know, but this you can't. You can only do something if they push around the corner. So what if something goes wrong on the enemy side? Boom, something just went wrong on the enemy side. So in theory, you have a 6 versus 5 that you could pressure and, you know, abuse. But really, if your teammates push, they are still in a 5v5 because you're too far. Same thing as same issue we had on second point. Same thing we had on first point. So really need to pay attention to where your Orisa moves and move along with her and lead her if you want her to take you to a better spot.
Okay. In this scenario, if she didn't move, would it be like okay for me to stand maybe here and shoot that way?
Yeah, you
could. Or like, should I be like here and shoot this way? I
mean, this is safer. This is, you know, you can look for a right click like this, and then if no one is shooting, you can charge a right click, peek, shoot it, and then if no one is shooting you and this is still safe, you can shoot. If someone's shooting back at you, you probably fall back here. But yeah, you have this option potentially, as long as you know that you're controlling left side, because you just saw the McCree. So if you saw the McCree, maybe he's gonna rotate below, and then you don't want to deal with that. So then probably you have to use this.
Okay.
What the fuck?
You know what I mean? Like, if you were here, you would probably already be trancing, right?
Right.
Because they tranced, you would use a better trance, but you can see that your front line is getting completely overwhelmed. And yeah, he wouldn't be able to do that if you called for the rest of the team to get up. Right, like he would be on the grind, and like I said, his angles would suck. So he should never be able to make this play on his own. As long as the entirety of your team, or at least one person in your team, understands this and says, "Everyone, let's go top."
I agree.
And you don't have this choice when you are attacking because someone has to be on payload. But on defense, you have to abuse high ground.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's definitely something that I never do, that I should start doing, is like asking my tanks to perhaps move with me.
Yeah. Like if you want to carry the fight, help your teammates.
I don't even know where he came from. I think he came from up top.
Yeah, I mean, he's been controlling that the whole time, so. But you also overpeak here, and you know, you die because you take 100 damage here, which you shouldn't. Because you have to respect where your shield is here. This is what you're working with. You're not pushing in front of the shield ever until he places a new shield. This is already too aggressive because now you're taking unnecessary damage. You have to use those shields. And then maybe you don't die. But you guys have lost high ground both to Hanzo and McCree, so they can just carry the fight. Instead of
I should have backed up more.
Yeah, instead of you carrying the fight, yeah, you probably should have, but instead of you carrying the fight with the high ground, right? So, yeah, so that's the VOD. Any thoughts?
Yeah, just that like my positioning still needs to get a lot better. I need to think more and more. Like I think about a lot when I play, but then when I watch my VOD, I feel like that the opposite is true.
So
you know?
What we established is before any round starts, or when you swap a hero and when you're resetting and you have a lot of dead time, just think about where wait, let me just replug my mouse. Just think about who you're gonna have to pocket, and then how you need to position yourself. One general positioning thing that we saw that you absolutely have to fix, that you I think are going to fix as well, is moving with your shields when you have shield tanks. You saw you didn't move with your Reinhardt, you didn't move with your
And
Orisa.
that's something I actively like. I need to work on that more because I get really nervous when I'm behind a Reinhardt shield that I don't know, like a Reinhardt who I don't know, and it takes like a trust. It takes some trust.
Yeah, no, of course, but so you should position yourself in a way where you don't have to rely on the Reinhardt, but there will be times when you know that his shield is full, when you have you have no choice but to rely on it, and rely on it that it's gonna get you where you need to get. Especially with the Orisa shield, that's something you can trust, because wherever the Orisa shield is placed, that's where it's gonna be for the foreseeable future until it gets broken or replaced. So that's something you can trust because he can't control it anymore once he's put it down. Once he's put it down, that's you already know in the area in which you are moving. So, yeah. And then just experimenting with nade angles again. Whenever you can, just see if you can find good ones. Like you saw on that first point defense, your positioning was nice and you could find nice little off angles, or at least play in positions where you have that option. There were a lot of times when you didn't, and a lot of it stemmed also from the fact that you played too far away from your front line, so you can't even, the two angles we talked about on third point here, when you were like, maybe I could take this angle as Zen, or that angle, underneath. You're like, could I take this angle? And my answer is yeah, you could peek for a right click there, but you're playing too far away from the fight for that to even be an option. Right. So if you just solve playing closer to the frontline issue, then also it's going to be easier for you to find these angles or think of these angles, both on Ana and Zen.
Right, I agree.
Any other questions, thoughts?
Not for now. I mean, you've been really good at answering all my questions when I go through it. So I know I need to be more proactive and just in general have these things in mind more when I play.
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest difference between an Ana. Like, you can hit all your shots as an Ana, but if you're just playing super defensively, super far back, and you're just a heal bot, you might as well play Mercy.
I agree.
And if you can play a really, really good Mercy, then you can climb high anyway. But you can't play Ana and play her as a Mercy. You know what I mean? Because you're still limited in a lot of things. You can't do the things that Mercy does, but you're just playing at a very weird range, where you're kind of limiting yourself. So you don't squeeze the most out of the hero in every situation that you potentially could, which is why we only saw you hit like a fight-winning nade or a nade on a frontliner that led to a one fight once on defense, when you actually took that position that we talked about.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. We'll finish it up then. If you don't have any questions, then as always, if you have questions, just drop them in the Discord channel, and then I'll try to answer it as soon as I can.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the VOD review. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad it helped. I hope it helped.
No, it definitely did. I'm gonna put it into practice and see where it gets me.
Okay, perfect. All right, have a good day.
You too. Thanks.